but I'll be missing you right next to me. Everywhere I go, it's Christmas. Christmas, wonder and delight. The season to rejoice.
What's up guys, and welcome back to Vlogmas. I've been wanting to do a video like this since I started YouTube. So we are doing a budgeting video. So I am obsessed with budgeting. If I'm like stressed about money, that is what calms me down, just coming up with a game plan. And I just feel like it's way easier than people think, and I get questions all the time because me and Vinny are pretty young and we paid for the majority of our wedding and our house and everything. So people have been asking me, especially as a self-employed hairdresser / salon suite owner, the best tips that I have for saving. We moved out at, I think I was 21 and Vinny was 23. I will say though, that was with a family member, our apartment. So we did have rent, but we did not have to do a security deposit. We didn't have to do first month, last month, anything like that. So I'm not including that in this video because we didn't need any like lump sum to pay. But I will share how we saved for, like I said, our wedding. We did have the wedding of our dreams and we paid for around 80% of it ourselves. And same thing with our house. Obviously, I will not be sharing exactly how much I make, how much my bills are, because cost of living is a very big thing. I have a salon studio. The rent here, I'm sure, is way more expensive. I'm sure in other states you can get a salon suite for like $500 a month. It's not the case here, but you know, everything's relative. So that's why I will not be sharing how much I make and how much my bills are exactly. But I will be sharing with you how I save for things that I have coming up that I want to put money towards, and also how I budget my week as someone who, you know, I don't get a paycheck from someone. I've been really excited for a video like this, and let's get into it. So I first want to start off this video by saying, I know I'm gonna get some comments that are like, not everyone can save. I understand that a lot of people are not in the financial position, especially this year, where they can save and have a lot of extra money lying around. But this is directed at someone who, you know, can save or don't know where to begin. So first and foremost, before saving anything, you need to figure out how much you make and also what your bills are. So I like to break it down monthly and then weekly. So for example, if you make $4,000 a month after taxes and your bills are $2,000 a month, then you have $2,000 a month extra that you can save, spend, do whatever you please with. So that breaks down to around $500 a week that you have extra. Like I said, I'm just throwing out numbers. Plug in your means and how much you make and what your bills are and all of that, however you see fit. I just thought this would be the easiest. Now let's say you have $500 a week left. Give yourself a budget of $100 that you could spend on gas, on food, whatnot, and that leaves you with $400 a week. So now you can start saving for your goals. If you can comfortably save $400 a week, that's over $20,000 by the end of the year. So let's say you want to save $10,000 for an apartment and $10,000 for a car. You can save $200 a week for each. You could just save in general. Let's say you want a $20,000 wedding. So when we got engaged, we discussed a lot of things. We discussed the type of wedding that we would want, the things that we really wanted, the things that we could skip on, the price of weddings in our area, and like when we wanted it, because that also makes a huge difference if you have a year to save or if you have 3 years to save. So we split everything for the wedding that we had to pay 50-50, besides obviously the ring and my dress. You can't start saving unless you know how much you're looking at. Like I could have said that, oh, I need $5,000, and then all of a sudden it ends up being way more than that. So I started getting quotes for all of my dream vendors, the venue, the photographer, the videographer, the florist, the dress, literally everything. Start getting quotes so you know also too what's realistic. So that's when we decided on a date, and we decided it would be the smartest if we did a 2-year engagement, that we had a full 2 years to save for it. So now I looked at my weekly income, I looked at my weekly bills, I took the difference and was like, this is how much as of right now I can comfortably save a week, and I multiplied it by 104 weeks, so 2 years. And that was the number that was staring at me. If I just kept going the way I was going without saving anymore, without working anymore, that's how much I would be able to contribute for the wedding. And from what I remember, give or take, that was around the amount that we needed. That's why we decided to do a 2-year engagement, so it wasn't super stressful. If anything, let's say I was budgeting myself like $200 a week for like food, drinks, Starbucks, gas, I like cut it down to like $100 a week, but I didn't need to make any major changes. Figure out your weekly income, figure out your weekly expenses, and then take that difference and multiply it by the amount of time that you are giving yourself to save, and then go from there. If you take your weekly income and then you subtract your weekly expenses and you have $100 a week that you can save, and you want to buy a car in 6 months time, that's 24 weeks, so 100 times 24 is $2,400. Without making any other changes to your lifestyle, you will have $2,400 in 6 months to put towards a new car. So now it comes to doing certain things to save more, because a lot of times a car is not going to be $2,400, and a lot of times you're not going to have exactly what you need in that time unless you start making some changes that's maybe a little bit bigger than just reducing your weekly spending budget. So that is also basically what we did when we started looking at houses. Same thing for our house down payment and closing costs. We ended up, I think, paying around 85% of it ourselves, and same thing, we split it 50-50 down the middle. So the issue with that though is that we started really looking at houses. We had maybe a year to save, maybe a little less. So now, since we had less time to save, obviously it wasn't as simple as doing what I did before. So now I added another full day of clients, and whatever I made from that, I completely put into a house fund. So this is a huge tip of mine. I tell all my clients this. Let's say you have a 9-to-5 that pays for your bills, your like necessary spending like food and gas, and also your emergency savings, which I'll get to in a minute. If you have something coming up, like a wedding, moving out, something big like that, if you can, get another job, whether it's babysitting or bartending, something that you could do at night and kind of make your own hours, and take that pay that you're not depending on, you weren't used to it, and put that completely towards your goal, because you already weren't relying on that money in the first place. So if you can just take that lump sum and just immediately put it aside and pretend you never even made it, you're going to reach your goal way faster. So that's what I did. Let's say I was only working 4 days a week. I added a 5th day, and my bills were already paid for based on the first 4 days that I was used to, but now I had this extra 5th day of income that I could completely just throw into a house fund. I feel like a lot of people will get an extra job and they don't really, like I said, see where their money is going. They'll do a little here, a little there, and they're like, I'm working more, but I don't know where the money is going. It's important to really separate stuff like that. And I'll still do this now, and I'll do this forever. Like, let's say I know that we need X amounts of money for the renovations. I'll take that and I'll divide it by how much I can comfortably save a week, and then I'll know it'll take me approximately that many weeks to hit my goal. And then if I decide, no, that's too long, I don't want to wait 104 weeks / 2 years to hit my goal, I'll know that I'll have to make some other big changes, work an extra day, stuff like that. So touching really fast on emergency savings, because that is super important. You need to be worrying about that before you start worrying about fun savings. So I consider fun savings things for a house, a car, a wedding, stuff like that. You need your emergency savings first. If you don't, I feel like you're much more likely to touch your fun savings for stuff like a flat tire. This was years ago, I think in 2015, when I first started really tracking how much I was making. I would just like get a flat tire and take money out, and I'm like, I'm not reaching my goals. I'm getting stuck at this amount and not getting where I want to be, because I'm just, oh, I need grocery shopping money and I just didn't work this week, I'll just take it out of here. It's just so good to have separate accounts for all this stuff. So for emergency savings, I would say you really need around 3 months of expenses. I shoot for around 5 months. Also, 1, because we have a house, it's a lot more stress versus if we were living at home, and 2, because I'm a business owner and things can be a little bit more unreliable than your typical W-2 job. So I would say anywhere from 3 to 6 months expenses just sitting in a separate bank account that you do not touch unless of an emergency. So use that same method of saving that I said in the beginning of this video, but apply that to this. And like I said, this will help you so you don't even touch your fund savings in the future. If you get a flat tire, if your car breaks down, you're not touching your fund savings, and then you're touching your emergency savings because it is an emergency. But now, once you do that, get it back up immediately. Don't just like take money out of your emergency savings and then all of a sudden you leave it like wilted. No, like replenish that shit. This is especially important as a business owner, and this is especially important in the times of COVID. I was shut down for around 3 months. You know, no one expected a pandemic. If anything, I expected a broken arm or something like that, but no one expected a pandemic where we were told by the government you cannot work for 3 months. And if I didn't have that emergency savings, I would have been insanely stressed. And I already was stressed because of course I didn't want to touch that savings, but I was so much better off for it versus if we didn't have it in the first place. And then when I went back to work in June, thankfully I was extremely busy, and the first thing I did was just chuck everything that I made basically after my bills, taxes, whatnot, right into my emergency funds again to replenish it. And now if we were to, you know, unfortunately, I know California salons just shut down again. if this happens, then I will do the same thing again. So let's say you have your emergency savings ready, and now we're back to the fun savings. But you can have 3 to 5 different things that you are saving for. And I think when we were living in our apartment, there was a time where I was saving for my wedding dress, our wedding, and the house. And they were 3 different accounts, and how much money I'm putting into each account is based on the importance, the priority level, how much money it needs to hit, and when you need it by. You might need more money for something, but you have 3 years to save for it, so you can put the same amount of money in that as you are something that is less money but you need sooner. For example, as a self-employed person, I know eventually I am not going to have a maternity leave. I've had this plan for years that when I do get pregnant, if I could plan to hopefully find out by around 6 weeks of being pregnant, and hopefully I'll be able to work until around 36 weeks. That gives me 30 weeks to save. So if I can put aside $300 a week for 30 weeks, I can give myself a maternity leave of $9,000 when the time comes. So I can take a good 2 months, 3 months, and be home with my baby instead of worrying about money and stressing out. So that is how I save. And now on to how I budget. Like I said, I like to go off of weekly instead of monthly. If you get paid bi-weekly, then go off of that. I did have someone ask me how I budget my week when we have such an unpredictable income and schedule. And that will change as you get more of a stable clientele. My income is definitely a lot more predictable now. But of course, I still do get days where, especially right now, I've had a couple of clients who we cancel because of COVID. So it's important to always stay on top of your mandatory bills and also your savings that can take a backseat. Let's say I work Monday through Thursday. I will take what I make Monday and I'll put that directly towards my salon rent, my products, and my car payment, let's say. Then let's say Tuesday, I'll take that and that will go directly to taxes. I don't get a paycheck, so I have to pay for taxes out of pocket quarterly. So I obviously don't want to just wait until the end of the quarter and have to pay all of it. So let's say I'll take a day and just put that directly towards taxes. Then Wednesday, it can go to my house bills, you know, mortgage, utilities, all that type of stuff. Thursdays would then be my day to have that money for fun savings. That way, if I get cancellations on Thursday, I'm not stressed because I know that the things that I needed to get paid got paid already. So what I used to do, and you can do this if you want, is I used to go percentage wise. So I would look at Monday and I would take 20% and put it towards rent, 20% put it towards the mortgage. I feel like that can get confusing, and also I don't feel like it's as rewarding. I feel a sense of reward and pride when I can just be like, okay, that's paid off for the week. And doing it that way, the 20%, I feel like nothing ever ends up getting done until the end of the week. So I would rather just do it in chunks. But let's say you are getting a check every 2 weeks, it might be easier. It might be easier to just get that bi-weekly check and just put 30% towards this, 30% towards this, 30% towards this, 10% towards savings. So there's different ways that you could do things, but those are my biggest tips and tricks. I love videos like this and I really enjoy talking about it. I don't know if you could tell. So if you have any more questions or even want me to do like a Q&A budgeting edition, and I know that this is such a weird time, and I hope that with everything going on, I almost feel like it has been discouraging people from going into the industry, which is unfortunate because right now there are just so many industries that are going to be unpredictable. So it honestly is about how you save and budget and whatnot. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season.